Welcome to 2.5 Part 2, Zeros of Polynomial Functions. Our objective today is to construct and compare linear, quadratic, and exponential models to solve problems. And the essential question, there's only one, is how can you solve a polynomial equation? There's a quick thing called the fundamental theorem of algebra, which is important. If f of x is a polynomial of degree n, where n is greater than or equal to 1, then the equation f of x equals 0 has at least one complex root. So that means any polynomial of degree n, when your n is greater or equal to 1, you will have at least one complex root. Linear factorization theorem. If your polynomial has n greater than or equal to 1 and a sub n is not 0, then you will have the factored form f of x equals a sub n times x minus c1 times x minus c2, etc. In this case, c1, c2 are complex numbers. They could be real numbers, but not necessarily distinct. So in other words, the nth degree polynomial can be expressed as a product of a non-zero constant and n linear factors, where each linear factor has a leading coefficient of 1. So in this problem, it says find a third degree polynomial, so that means you have x cubed, function f of x with real coefficients that has -3 and I as zeros, and such that f of 1 equals 8. So this means you have x plus 3. If my 0 is -3, then I'm going to have x plus 3. And you're also going to have x minus I. But because I is 0 and the polynomial has real coefficients, you also need your conjugate. So I'm going to have x plus I along with x minus I. Simplify your x plus 3, x minus I, x plus I, and you would get x cubed plus 3x squared plus x plus 3. All I did was simplify this equation and you would get this. So your next piece of this puzzle would be setting up the equation to solve for what your a sub n would be. So if you know f of 1 equals 8, so f of 1 would make that 8. You have 8 equals a sub n, 1 cubed plus 3 times 1 squared plus 1 plus 3. So you should have a sub n times 8. You're going to solve this just like you'd solve any other equation. This is your variable. So divide both sides by 8, and you should have a sub n equals 1. That means you have 1 times x cubed plus 3x squared plus x plus 3. Which means your f of x equals x cubed plus 3x squared plus x plus 3. And that would be your final answer there. So make sure you answer the questions below and watch the next video. It's the last one of this pod. And we are next time going to talk about a rule of signs.